Good evening. It must be Wednesday. It is Talk of the Town. This is show number 436. And though it is the three Amigoes, today it is only the Dos Amigos, me and Steven over here. And we will be your guide through this next hour of just riveting entertainment, discussion, debate, and what other crazy things we can think about to talk about in the town of Plymouth. First thing I want to do is say hi to Karen out there. It's after 8, so I know Lou Dobbs is on vacation, but he'll be back next week. I guarantee you that. And also for the man behind the booth, Kenny Bukes, who is our fearless leader, and so we're excited to have him at the helm again.
And today's his birthday.
And today's his birthday. I didn't know
Happy birthday, Ken.
I would have worn my birthday suit for you. Okay, maybe not. But we do want, again, welcome tonight's underwriters, obviously, Kevin and Dave Gallerani. Of course, you aren't a real Plymouthian unless you have a Cape Auto pen that Rick Carlson disperses all over the state of Massachusetts, or the Commonwealth, I should say. As well, Cape Auto Body and Services, locations on Samoset and Sandwich Streets. And again, great service, great people. And, Dave's always there. And we should maybe expect a phone call from him. Speaking of phone calls, you can dial 508-830-3971. Obviously, with technology today, you can also text us if you have a question about tonight's show at 508-982-7523. So again, live line 508-830-3971 and 508-982-7523 for a text. And also we have Mr. Brewster, William Brewster, Wrestling Brewster from PC Solutions. And tune into his PAC TV show and watch Wrestling with Computers with Wrestling Brewster. That's almost like a tongue twister.
I know.
Like Peter Piper picked the pickled peppers. And then also Jeff Cohen of One Stop Painting. Not only a great guy, just a great guy who's always here to support the community, but he's also a huge Patriots fan, which I know is a little bit sore subject with some people, but hey, you can't win them all. And like I said, we got Steve and I are here, and we are manning the fort down tonight. So I know we've got many topics that we prep. I mean, we've been prepping for what? Weeks, months? Okay, maybe 2.5 minutes. But
if that.
But as you know, in Plymouth, there's so much going on, and I figured I would start off with some of the good stuff first, some of the easy stuff, and then we'll get into more of the touchy subjects. But I did want to announce, as I do chair the Plymouth Bay Cultural District, which has just been exploding, of doing a lot of great events with the Plymouth Bay Cultural District, and we are participating starting April 27th through May 6th. We're doing Art Week of Plymouth, which is actually a statewide event that's been spearheaded out of Art Week of Boston and the Ernie Bach Center, which is the old music hall, and it's going to be promoted statewide. And we've got a lot of great events, but it's the first time that we're doing this as a town. We were asked to be a catalyst. So you've got Boston, you'll have Plymouth, and then Cape Cod. And both Boston and Cape Cod have been doing it for a few years. And I really need to also give kudos to my vice chair, Melissa Kenny, who really has grabbed this event, as everyone on the district has on our committees. But she really has been spearheading it with Susan Sullivan of the Bach Center and also of Art Week of Boston. So we're really excited. If there's any artists out there, any businesses that want to get involved in Art Week, your application is due February 28th. And the website is www.artweekma, as in mass.org. And you can go there and it will give you all the information. There's an application to fill out, very simple. There's no charge for that. And just some of the events that we have going on that I thought I would bring up because we're excited about these is on Saturday, April 28th. We've got Fairy Door Trail, which is a wonderful event that Jane Kelly has come up with. and she's going to get these local artists to build these little fairy doors that she discovered when she was in Ireland. And I don't know if you can really see that well, but they're like little doors, and all the local artists are going to paint those according to what the retailer of that particular location wants to do. And you'll have a map, and the kids with their families can go. I think we've got about maybe a dozen or so businesses that will have these fairy doors. They're sort of going to like hide it within the store. The kids go find it, they check it off, and then at the end of the day, when they've finished their tour, they will then go to the Plymouth Center for the Arts and receive a certificate.
You know, I have to say, the Cultural Art District started off with a big bang and a lot of excitement, but then it kind of died, and not much was going on. And since you have taken it over, you and your staff, you have done so much, and they've changed this whole thing around.
Oh,
and you can do it. Last year when you had this, the musicians on the street and the art center, I said, it shows what volunteers can do, and you guys have done a great job, and I think this is great. The more it brings tourism in, but not only tourism. Everyone says tourism fine, but it brings the community in. This is stuff that we can do with our families, your kids or your grandkids. It's a great thing, and it's downtown. And it's close. You don't have to travel into Boston. April's, May, the weather's going to be good.
Yeah, let's hope so.
It's a great day, and it'll be a great time to have a family event.
Well, and thank you for that. And again, I've got a great team that also, we've got great volunteers. And, I feel fortunate. I feel just like I'm just the conductor of the orchestra, and, they're the ones that are out there making a lot of it happen. But we've even got Steve Karyadanis, who is going to, prior to their event at the Plymouth Phil, he's actually going to do a lecture about behind the scenes of what goes on in conducting a concert. And we've got both Jesse and Eddie over at the art shop that are going to be doing some things. We've also got Yarn and Fiber event down at in Village Landing. We've got the Speedwell doing some stuff. We've got a coffee house going on. And even Captain John Boats is actually going to do a harbor tour that Saturday, May 5th. And they're going to go out, and you're going to be able to, artists can go out on the boat, probably the Bell, and they'll sit in front of Gurnet and the lighthouse, and they can sit and paint those things. I mean,
that's great.
Yeah.
They really, a lot of people say there's not much to do in Plymouth. Now we have things to do.
Yeah.
We're getting more, and it's getting better. Every year it's getting better. There's more events, there's more things going on, and it's for our community. It builds our community, and we should get interested and go to these things because it's worth it. A lot of them are free.
Yeah. Well, most of these events are free, and we are going to be promoting the heck out of it. Both Art Week of Boston will be promoting everything statewide on their website. Every participant will get a free web page that'll pop up when somebody clicks on an event. I've got Mark T. Small, one of the best blues guitar players you'll ever see. He's going to do an event over at the Plymouth Library on Thursday, May 3rd. All of these events will be on our website, which is www.plymouthbayculture.org. And probably by the first week of March, at the end of that week, we'll be having all these things posted on our website. And we've got a swing dancing band that's going to have the Bombshells, which are like the Lennon Sisters, over at Memorial Hall. And we've got still probably about another 8 to 12 people that still haven't submitted their applications. So we're pretty jazzed about it. So we'll keep you guys informed. But again, the Cultural District really is to help to collaborate, bring together the businesses, the retail, the arts, the culture, to make Plymouth more than just the tourist destination in our history. I mean, there's more to our history than 1620. And, as we've talked about before, too, is after the 2020, what is there? And I think the Cultural District, as well as other groups, Project Arts being one of them with Mike Landers, that, these are the groups that are going to continue to provide entertainment and content for people to be able to come into Plymouth.
I think it's great, when we all, culture never hurt anybody.
No.
And I think a lot of times you're surprised. You go to some of these things, just and you say, "Wow, I really enjoyed that." It was a really good thing, and like I say, if you can get your family together, get your kids off their computers and their cell phones, and it's a family experience. Maybe go out to dinner or go get an ice cream down at Peaceful Meadows or one of the shops, and you can make this a family thing, and it's free. It doesn't cost you it doesn't cost you anything, and it's a family event, and you learn something from it.
Yeah.
You learn like. The Philharmonic, Stephen's going to tell you about how to conduct an orchestra. There's a lot of different things going on. The artist on the bell, you can see how they paint, and you can see their perspective of how they see the lighthouse, and how they. I mean, it's educational. It's not just cultural; it's educational. Yeah. So I think I can't promote this enough. I think it's great.
Well, like I said, we'll be we'll making sure that we'll be keeping it. So keep on our Facebook, Cultural District Facebook. The Plymouth Chamber is going to get involved. They're actually moving up their, or moving back, I guess would be a better way, is their restaurant week. Before it used to be in February. Now they're going to piggyback with the art week. So we'll have art week and the restaurant week. Yep. We're going to try to tie some of the restaurants in. And even the Plymouth Center for the Arts, they're going to do a thing with this is pretty cool about, how to really take good selfies. So they're going to, and again, a kid family event. And that's really what we want. So if anybody's interested in getting more information, you can always email me or just go to the Cultural District website or Facebook page, and you can message us there. But again, it's www.artweekma, all one word, .org, and all the information's in there. Would love more people to get involved. And it's just, we're pretty ecstatic. And again, hats off to my team and all the artists that are getting involved, all the businesses that are getting involved, because it's just, and that's really what community is all about, is getting everybody tied in. Because we're all here for the same thing. We're all here to, create a fun environment, a learning environment. And, so the Art Week is really, it's our first time doing it. So we really hope that you all come out. And again, like I said, we're going to be promoting the heck out of this thing leading up until that week.
And they want to know. They seriously want to know how you feel about these things.
Yeah.
So next year they can plan, they can know what you want, and they can plan for something else or expand on what you liked.
Yeah.
So I can't, like I said, I can't promote this enough. We talked about the groups and and the artist and your organization, but there is another organization that helps out a lot that I don't think a lot of people know about, and that's the VSB, and that's the Visitors Service Board. The Visitors Service Board has 7 members. It's appointed by the selectmen, and it gets half of the hotel motel tax. And with this money, you heard about Mike Landers and his concert down at the waterfront. He puts in an application, a grant application, and what the VSB does, we issue grants to 4th of July, the Thanksgiving, Mike Landers, the Arts, Cultural District, road races, charities, anything that promotes Plymouth. And it's a great organization, and I'm on the board, and so is Mr. Bukes, and we get the applications, and we understand how important this is to promote Plymouth.
Yeah.
But not only for tourism, but also for the chamber, so the chamber can expand, and all these different organizations that that do so much for the community.
Yeah.
And it's not only for the tourists; it's for the residents.
And surrounding towns.
Yeah.
Because we do pull in, a lot of people, and I'll be the first to give kudos to the VSB. They have just been wonderful to work with. I think that when we first started going to them for some grant opportunities, we were sort of an unknown entity, and I think after last year with Shakespeare in the Park, with the first annual art and music on North, we'll be having second annual coming up in this August. But and I told the team as well that we really had to come out and prove ourselves.
And you did.
As a viable alternative or a viable vehicle, if you will, to be able to deliver. And we work hard. Again, we're all volunteers. Nobody gets paid a nickel, not even a penny. And but it's the love of it. Just like I know with Mike Landers and Project Arts. There's a guy that's given 22 plus years of Project Arts, and
don't forget Donna.
And don't forget Donna
Don't
Osborne.
forget Osborne. I'll
She's
tell you.
really.
She's the greatest.
She is. She's the wizard behind the curtain.
She sure. Thank you, Donna, for everything you do. Believe me.
And
you too, Mike.
And Mike, and then you got Jan and Ross Bridge on there. You got my cousin's wife, Kim Passari. They just very, very dedicated people. And again, last year, we averaged about 3,500 people per Wednesday night show. And what are those people doing? They're, they're paying for parking downtown. They're also buying food. We do have some truck vendors there, food vendors that are part of it. But most of them, you'll see them coming in, and they've got Mamma Mia's pizzas. They've got sandwiches from all over. And so that's part of that meal tax, if you will.
Yep.
That goes back into the funding that
paid for our town hall.
Yeah, pay for the town hall and give promotional funds, which is part of the tax.
Yep.
So it's all, it's good. And again, everybody can bitch and complain about something within the town, and we probably will. We probably have.
We're going to get there.
We'll get there. We'll get there. That's why I said I wanted to be kind of nice first, but and every town does. But I think that everybody's heart is in the right place, especially with a lot of the nonprofit organizations, and they really have just have done an incredible job.
Yep.
One more thing I just wanted to talk about is the Art Initiative, which is the patronicity funding that we did last October, and we did a couple fundraisers. We did raise our $13,000, so Mass Development matched us at $13,000, so we've got $26,000. We've already ordered the Adirondack chairs. We've got picnic tables. And we're hoping that some of those picnic tables we'll be able to get up at the Forefathers Monument.
Great.
We'll talk to the state about that. We've also...
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I know. That gets into the ugly part, the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're talking about the good right now. And the other great thing about that is, we've also... I met with Robin Carver, who's spearheading the Art Initiative, with Melissa Kenny, and also... Vanessa Moore, who's within our group, with Bill Cohane, and looking at because we're going to wrap all the utility boxes with vintage photos, and we're going through some of those photos. And it's just, when you're looking at a picture of Town Square, 150 years ago, it blows your mind. I mean, it really blows your mind. And, we're teasing Bill. I mean, he is like a walking encyclopedia of the history of Plymouth.
That he is.
Oh, incredible. So... that's going to get started in this fall. We've got the Mike Capel at the high school, visual arts director. We're going to have the kids do murals down along the bridges going along Town Brook, and we're excited about that. Adirondack chairs, we're looking at places like, again, with state's approval, Coles Hill, Town Wall, Town Wharf, possibly out back of East Bay Grill, Village Landing, the Town Hall front lawn, and maybe the top of Burial Hill, Hedge House, Center for the Arts. And so these are places that we're looking at, possibly some of the benches, Village Landing, Hedge House, and like I said, the Fathers Monument, Forefathers Monument as well. So, just again, and I want to thank the town of Plymouth for, being there, donating to our cause, and many of the other causes that nonprofits that are looking for money. And unfortunately, just like you're finding arts being out of school, being taken away from schools, or budgets being reduced, because it's all about the funding. And unless we get funding, and unfortunately we have to go to you, the public, for a lot of that funding, we won't be able to do these things. So again, we really appreciate the VSB stepping up to the plate, but also really the people of Plymouth.
Yep. So, like we've covered a lot about the arts, and I'll tell you, I'm really proud that we've, the VSB supports the arts, and I think the town should too. The other thing I want to talk about is, I don't know if anybody can see this. You probably can't. So this is very, very, very important if you're a senior or if you have parents that are seniors. So I'm going to give you a website and I'm going to give you a number. So I'm going to tell you what it is first, so you can go get a piece of paper or whatever and write these down. There's something called the Senior Circuit Breaker Tax Credit, and where if you're a senior, and you can get a maximum credit of anywhere from 2014, 15, 16, and 17. And it goes on your income, and you add up your property tax, your water tax, your sewer fees, and if it exceeds 10% of your total income, up to the maximum credit amount. All right? So this is for 65 and plus, and it's for renters, which would be 25% of the annual rent exceeds 10% of the total not income. But this is a good way to get money back from the state right now for senior citizens whose taxes keep on going up and are struggling. So if you're interested in, I'm going to give you the website, which is www.mass.gov-dor. And the phone number is 1-800-392-6089. There was a presentation on Nook Road at the Council of Aging. They have another name now. So, no, I'm sorry. I got it. The Plymouth Center for Active Living. And it was on February 16th, and it wasn't really that well publicized. But if you call those two numbers and get the information, you might be able to get $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 back from the state.
Fantastic.
So, and I know I could use $4,000.
Every penny helps.
Yeah. So, really, again, and if you have problems getting through, call Matt Maratori's office.
Yeah.
Matt's great. Matt, champions a lot of causes and a lot of people, and has people come up to the State House, like Kenny went up for the spraying for the gypsy moss. He has a lot of people coming in. He sponsors a lot of people to get bills done in the state, the House of Representatives. So if you have a problem, call Matt. I'll tell you, he'll call you back. He's always called me back. And so again, the number is 1-800-392-6089 or www.mass.gov/DOR. And
Great.
Take care.
Hey, Kenny, just a quick question behind the glass here. When you went up to the State House for the Gypsy Moth, did you perform your heralded dance of the Gypsy Moth by any chance? I couldn't resist.
Andrew,
He chopped on some
you
crackers.
promised you weren't going to tell anybody about my dance.
He even did the sound effects. He had crackers and cracking them.
I was cracking them, yeah. It's a funny story about the Gypsy Moss thing. Yes, it is moving forward. And I was talking with Matt about it the other day, and he says, funny thing is, that's the only bill that's still alive.
So that's unusual.
So what's a gypsy moth?
Yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Gypsy Moss, that's right. So I do expect to hear on it this spring. I don't know whether the Department of Agriculture is going to be able to get the spraying done this year, but what gave the bill legs? And I'm not talking about the caterpillar legs. I'm talking about
All 36 of them.
what got it to move through the House. At the same time I was doing all of my information on the gypsy moths, I was seeing reports on television about people breaking out with mysterious rashes. And most of the people were not acknowledging the fact that they had actually had skin contact with the gypsy moth. So I dug into it a little bit deeper and come to find out that just the waste from the gypsy moth if it would drop onto your body and then bounce onto the ground. In some people's sensitive skin, it would cause a rash. And people would get very itchy. And here we go with the calamine and the Benadryl and all those things. So when I added that to my information, I got everybody's attention. The day that Steve and Stevie went with me to accompany me, and
Karen?
and I took Karen with us, and we ran into Vinny while we were up there, so we had some really nice pictures taken in the hallway.
Nice.
But little did I know that somebody was sitting in the room when I was what they call it testifying when you're presenting a bill. So I was testifying about my bill, and no sooner had I got home, I got a letter from the Farm Association in the western part of the state that they had done a survey and found that the gypsy moths were affecting the fall foliage season, number one, and they were also affecting the crop of apples
Oh, yeah, that would make
by
sense. Yeah.
eating the leaves
Yeah.
and eating the flowers. So here I am, bang, I got the apple growers of Massachusetts behind me, along with a lot of health people, and, you know.
Well, you
I got
know,
my-
Kenny, you
got
brought
my
up a lot.
fingers crossed.
You brought up a lot of things that I never thought about it. You know, gypsy moss. Yeah, you see the devastation that it does to the trees and how the damage it does to the trees, but a lot of people never thought about the health problems.
No.
No one thought about the apple crops and the agriculture that they affect.
Right.
So it was just, because of what you did, it brought all these different groups together, to educate people, especially the representatives that were going to be voting on this. It's not just the trees and the leaves. There's so much more involved.
There is.
And if there
And,
were other crops aside from the
yeah.
apple tree, if there was,
Yeah, you know.
peach trees or
Maple syrup is another one.
Yeah.
Anything great.
Yeah.
Yes.
All of that affects it.
The
Maple syrup.
growers got in
Yeah.
touch with me
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
Thank you
Because
for
that
reminding me.
because that
Yes.
affects the tree. You told me that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it affects the trees and the maple syrup. I mean, it affects so many different things, that you don't think about.
And they're voracious. I mean,
Oh, they're horrible.
We did this year at my condos. And it was $125. It was worth it to spray 2 trees because most of ours are pine. They don't touch pine.
Yeah.
And I can remember even as a kid when we would have them at our house in Hanson because we had maples and elms, and it would sound like it was always raining.
Yep.
And that's just their feces coming down. And that's
Yeah.
what, again, people today are a lot more, I think, sensitive to things, chemical sensitivities.
Right.
And I know one of my great nephews started to come down with a rash, and it wasn't that he even touched a caterpillar. It was what
Yeah.
fell on top
waste.
of him. So, it could be, I mean, it's a health hazard.
Yeah.
But like you said, and I don't know what the apple crop industry is, but
It's big.
It's pretty significant. I mean, ask
Yeah.
Johnny Appleseed. Didn't he start here in Massachusetts?
Yep.
There was some really fancy. It was a really fancy letterhead.
Was it an apple
from
with a worm
well,
coming
was
out of it?
Apple, but no worms.
Okay.
And there were little leaves hanging off it. And this person was the CEO of some growing association.
Probably like a cranberry.
Yes,
Yeah,
like
Ocean
the
Spray.
cranberries. And even the cranberry growers are affected by this, but I didn't hear from them because a lot of their leaves and their vines, but they're spraying.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
they don't have the problem. With a lot of the information that I did get, because a lot of people, and myself, and yourself, Andrew, and you, Stevie, we're concerned about what the taxpayer has to pay. Now, I had my yard sprayed. I had it sprayed twice. Cost me $250. I mean, I'm on a fixed income.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't come easy. In the research that I had done in Ohio, I believe the other one was Iowa, and there was New Jersey. and New Jersey wasn't kind to Massachusetts in the article at all. They blamed us for the infestation throughout the United States. But, you know, I just don't want to get off the point. In the research that I did, that in those states that I've just mentioned, they were having helicopters and airplanes do the spraying for the state through their Department of Agriculture. And they weren't spraying the whole state. Now, a lot of people say, well, I don't want to kill the bugs. I don't want to do this. So the long and the short of it, it came down to only spraying the affected, infested areas. There were two types of spray. There was a spray that would allow them to hatch, allow them to grow. You get the male, you get the female, and then, everything happens after
What
that.
actually happens?
Well, one goes into a cocoon, comes out, and it can't fly. So anyways, the one that can't fly is the one that lays the eggs. Well, this one spray that I found allows them to go through the whole process. They can devastate your yard for that first year, but they will never, ever mate. So the gypsy moth dies a natural death at the end of the growing season.
Oh, I'm relieved.
It just dies. Because I ran into opposition from some people within our own community that they said, "Oh no, you can't spray the trees. You'll kill the gypsy moths." Gypsy moths, I don't want to kill them. Just don't let them have sex. And that was one of the sprays.
Just say
that I
no.
found. Just say no.
It's a hell of a headache.
So, and there was another spray that allowed them to mate, but as they were mating, they would die, and that would be it. They just wouldn't come back the following year. They wouldn't have the eggs. But I learned a lot, and the average in those states, I don't know if I said it, was $80 an acre aerial spray, and everybody was making a profit.
Well, I know that because we'd sprayed that one tree, but there was also, because I remember my dad used to do this, so I tried. I wrapped, because it was a bigger tree, wrapped it with duct tape,
Right.
about 3-4 feet off, and then I put petroleum jelly,
Right.
and then I sprayed it with like an insect killer.
Right.
And I tell you, and I got out there a little bit too late, but when I went out there like a couple days later, you should have seen all the dead caterpillars because they try to climb, they get stuck in that petroleum jelly, and then they were obviously eating the jelly and then just died. So, there's that economical way, and you're not doing the spraying, but I tell you, the spraying was huge.
Yeah, I was surprised at the amount, and all I did was, the amount of information that I got, all I did was Google gypsy moths infestation.
I mean, how many other issues that, people complain about, but yet they don't do the research and to educate not just themselves, but to then educate other people. So again, there's, as one of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that, first seek to understand, then to be understood.
Good saying.
I got come up with them every once in a while.
Wow, Anthony.
Well, I've been told I'm full of a lot of useless trivia. This is just a perfect example. But like when we were kids, the mosquitoes. We used to have a mosquito truck go down High Street in Hanson, and we're talking probably the 60s, and we used to chase that on our Stingray bikes, and the fog, and that was DDT.
Yep.
Except for a little twitch I get every once in a while, I'm doing fine.
Is that why you do that?
That's why, exactly.
Well,
but
see,
again, there was another example of then people said, well, we can't spray for mosquitoes. It's harmful to the environment. And now what's everybody worry about? Nile virus, West Nile virus. I mean, there's consequences, especially within nature. Just like when you don't address the deer population. What happens? You get not only an overgrowth of deer then you get the ticks. Look at the coyotes, who are so brazen they walk right down the main streets of every town on the South
Yep.
Shore, and
They have no
in my yard
predators.
every night.
yeah,
Every
and
night.
people are losing cats and dogs, and they wonder,
Maybe not down the Cape anymore since they had that big hunt last week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did.
You know?
Yes,
Yeah.
over 60 coyotes were
Yeah,
brought
you
in.
know,
Yeah.
and-
for
I mean,
reward.
people are protesting. You know, there was a gun shop down there that had a contest,
yeah,
and people were protesting. And I'm saying, wait a minute, it's a predator. It'll attacks people, attacks animals, it attacks pets. There's no control over it. They're everywhere. I told Ken, I got woken up one night, and my dog, who's very gentle and doesn't fight, was growling. His tail, his teeth were bared, and I had the window open, and all I could hear was a pack of coyotes, and they did have a dog. I could hear a dog, and I'm
Yeah.
saying, so it's common sense. You can't say everything in the environment. You can't do this. There's certain things you can do, and we should be willing to
Well,
do.
yeah. Because again, those people who, and again, maybe I'm generalizing, but many of the people that are able to protest in the coyotes, if they had maybe a child who was attacked, had an animal that was
Yeah.
eaten by one, I bet you they wouldn't be protesting.
Right.
It was very interesting with that coyote thing, because all I kept thinking about was the past. I think it's been the past 3 years. Milton has been having
Yep.
a deer
The Blue Hills.
a deer explosion. of
Yeah.
At the Blue
population.
Hills.
And they decided that it was time to try and control the population. They got a lot of support when they announced to everybody that the heavy tick population in Milton was because of the deer.
Yeah.
So it's humane to cull the herds.
Right.
Before they had predators, and the predators culled, the wolves, the bears, whatever. They culled the herds. Now there's no bears. They have no predators, so they're just overpopulating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I could go on and on about
Yeah.
bugs and spraying and other stuff, but we do have a telephone. It's
Yes.
361. I'm sorry.
508-830-3971, or you can text us, because we're like really high tech around here, at 508-982-7523.
Or 361 781 361 0749. There's no way they're going to miss getting to you two guys with all this information.
Yeah.
But I
David
don't
Gallerani, where are you?
Yeah, David
think-
Gallerani.
I think he's at a Lions meeting.
Wrestling. Where are you wrestling?
Wrestling's out
Wrestling's
to
busy.
dinner.
Yeah, we have two amigos. that I-
8:39. He should be done by. He's already had dessert.
No.
Yeah, it's a long walk home.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have two other amigos, Dickie Quintal and Wrestling Brewster, and they were unable to be here tonight.
So you got stuck with us.
Yeah, you
too.
get stuck with us.
It kind of opens it up that we can talk about some
Yeah.
things that we wouldn't talk about in front of our friends.
So what would you like to cover next, Stevie?
Well, let's do.
Pick your choice. Now we're getting into the bad, or maybe the ugly,
Okay, we can kind of loop these things together.
The controversial.
And
the controversial.
the controversial stuff. The DCR, the state, is unbelievable. They scheduled 2 meetings because they're going to be doing some extensive work on the waterfront. They're going to be replacing the bathrooms down there, and then they're
which
going to,
need it.
which it's needed, okay, but that's fine. But then they're going to tear up the whole lawn where the stage is,
Pilgrim
and
Memorial Park. Yeah.
yeah,
where
the Memorial
stage is.
Park, all that, and they're not going to allow any functions on the grass all year for the whole summer.
And
they're
why are they
also-
tearing up the lawn? To put in an irrigation,
Irrigation.
system. And my first question was, when I heard that, Steve, is how many people live near the ocean and have an irrigation system to water their lawn when it's going to be hit by salt air?
and salt mist. And then there's another project they're doing further on Water Street, down by Revere Copperware,
Yeah.
the old Revere Copperware. They're taking some parking spaces down there, and so this is a major impact to the people that we mentioned earlier.
Project Arts,
Project
Mike
Arts,
Landers,
Mark
huge.
Lantons, The Waterfront Festival, which has grown tremendously over the years, and is a fundraiser for the Chamber of Commerce. Road races that go on. I guess they've made a couple of arrangements for the parades and the Philharmonic.
For the July 4th.
Yeah, to play. But other than that, all these other groups that use the waterfront, all right, were told that they're going to shut down the park. They had 2 meetings, and they canceled both of them. So and we've been to the state delegation, to Matt and to Vinny and Tom Coulter. The Chamber's trying to get a hold of them. The Town Hall's trying to get a hold of them. They just don't answer. So it's going to be a major impact if they put in a sprinkler system and grass. I had a house on the ocean for years, and I had to wash my windows every other week because of the salt spray. And that's glass. I mean, why do we need sprinkler system? Why, it's not a golf course.
Well,
it's not a golf course. It's green.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't let you. They wouldn't let you pitch and putt out there anyway.
No. It's green. So.
And Steve, you talk about again
common sense.
Well, how again? Let's talk common sense, yes, but let's talk economics.
Yeah.
Just for example, Project Arts brings out 3,500 people every Wednesday night. So over 4 Wednesdays, which now they're they told Mike that they would work with the Mike Landers of Project Arts, but just if we lose 4 Wednesday nights, that's close to 15,000 people who would be at the waterfront spending their money with all the businesses. Now the businesses over the last couple years, with all the the construction, putting in the new piping and stuff, a lot of those businesses, they got nailed. Or as one of our illustrious senators would say, they got hammered, and they did. And so here's another year where the downtown, which again is where we thrive, not only with our tourism, but also just bringing people in for all the cultural events, that it's like having a hand tied behind your back while we're trying to provide these things. And I know poor Mike Landers, he's got to be able to talk to these bands and stuff that he has to book them out anywhere from 6 to 9, sometimes 12 months out, and he's now not able to, and and again, we'd like to be able to meet with the DCR to find out what is your plan, and
how can we get together, how we can work this out.
And to keep canceling meetings, it's almost like they're running and hiding because they don't want to address it, in my opinion.
Yep, and like I said, the state delegation's been notified, the town hall, selectmen, chamber, we've all tried to get this meeting, and they just haven't responded.
So if you're out there, call us at 508-830-3971 to talk about how you feel about what's going on down at the waterfront with DCR. Or you can text us at 508-982-7523. Again, call in and let us know, how you feel about what's going on. Again, Talk of the Town really is what the Three Amigos. It's Talk of the Town. It's for you as citizens of this wonderful town to call in and express some of your concerns about what you're thinking about. Look at the uproar that we had with the promenade being voted down.
And if you don't agree with us, that's fine.
Yeah.
We want people to call us up and let us know how they feel. And they, like I said, it's your comments are just as important as mine. So we'd like to hear from you too.
Yeah. 508-830-3971. Okay, next on the docket, Mr. Stevie.
Okay, well, you went to the selectmen's meeting last night. I didn't. I don't go to many meetings anymore. I'm kind of meeting out for a while.
Well, this was actually surprisingly my first. I think I had to step up to the plate. Plus,
you did.
Kim McDonough had told me that they'd be voting on this after she was able to get the policy from the town on the usage of the front lawn. There was a big article on the upper fold of the paper last week, and it is we did get some compromise on it. So instead of the $500 down deposit for nonprofits to use the front lawn, that it's only going to be $250, and there are several other issues that weren't resolved, and at least the selectmen were insightful enough to say, this needs to be sort of a work in progress. We'll address some of these other issues. We would have been happy with no deposit, because from what I understand, there's no deductible on the rider, the insurance rider. So, why we have to put the money up, I'm still not really understanding that. But that front lawn is the citizens' front lawn. It's the showcase. I mean, that was one of the reasons why the town hall went there, was to be the center of activity. And so I hope that both the cultural district, the Plymouth Chamber, Plymouth 400, the Winterfest, and other organizations who are looking to do things on that front, because it's beautiful, that we can come to some compromise so that it's a win-win. And people will, if people feel it's a win-win, then they're going to go there and do things there versus trying to find another location.
And most people respect the property.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Kenny Tavares last night even said, he goes, out of all the years that we've been doing events on that front lawn, even when the courthouse was there closed down, he said everybody's respectful, and he's so right. Yeah. And I think people are respective. Mm-hmm. When we do the Project Arts concerts on a Wednesday night, again, 3,500 people there, and our team walks around to pick up trash, and we're lucky if we maybe pick up 12 wrappers out of 3,500 people. Yeah. So
most people are respectful. They know it's their space, and they'll take care of it. Yeah.
And if they don't, see you later. You'll never be able to apply for a permit to be on that front lawn. Yeah. So that's again, we wanted a little bit more, but we'll take what we got, and we'll continue to work on some of the policies. It's a work in process.
So there's
and that's how it should be.
Yep. Well, so much for that. The other thing is the PG. Here comes the boss.
The chairman of the board.
1 second. I didn't put my graphic up, but.
Oh, is it the dancing of the gypsy moth?
Is this thing on?
Hello?
Is this on? Hello? What I would like to recommend to anybody that may be watching this now live, or anybody that's watching it over the reruns over the next weekend or next week, what I would like to say is, if you care about the economy of the downtown, if you care about the economy of the waterfront, if you care about the meals tax and the money that goes into the coffer of the town, if you care about how many heads are in beds and that money comes back into the VSB and comes back in to run these functions in the town of Plymouth, you should take into consideration the problems we're having with DCR, and DCR is not answering us. So a lot of these projects that are going to be funded next week on the 27th, that's an open meeting, by the way. You can join the VSB on the 27th at the Charlotte Room, right directly across from the courthouse at Town Hall. We start at 4:30. What I'm trying to say is, I think that if more people stood up at the podium at Town Hall and spoke to those issues, I think we would see we never had a $250 charge before. Mm-hmm. Stand up and speak to it. At least we will have a place where, between the chamber, the arts, and everybody else that's trying to drive money into the economy of this town, stand up at the podium, speak up, say something. I mean, if it's free for some people, and I won't name any names,
which it has been,
if it's free for some people who kind of carry some weight in the town, then it should be free for the people that do something to boost the economy of the town and pay the meals tax and pay the hotel tax. Shouldn't be good for one and not good for the other.
Well, and I think, and again, I don't know this for a fact, but I think that maybe the implementation of this policy is to make it a level playing field for everybody because of what happened previously.
Well, I hope
Yeah.
that if that's the case, then what happened previously now becomes what I would call a retroactive
Policy.
reimbursement to the town for services rendered without any plan in place.
Well, if there was no damage to the front lawn, that 250 would have been given back to that group anyway. So, again, you can't. This is the starting point, I think, and that's how I'm looking at it. This is now something where there's going to be cohesiveness, a consistency in a policy, regardless of
Who you are.
a group's or a person's position within the town.
You're speaking peaceably. I'm talking revolt.
Are you the ugly part of this thing? But he's right. It's like when we have elections, guys, and we have under, what was the last election? 10%. And not for the national election, but for the local elections. 10% of you out there in Plymouth went to the polls and voted. But then the other 90%, I see you guys bitching on Facebook all the time. Unless you vote, unless you get involved, you really don't have any right to bitch.
Nope, you're right.
I mean,
Doesn't take much to vote.
no,
A couple times a year, national elections,
yeah.
3-4 times a year. Takes you 15 minutes.
And I remember when I turned 18, was when I first time I was able to vote, and I tell you, it was one of the proudest moments when I went into that polling booth and was able to vote for the first time.
Yeah.
And I've done it. I think the only couple times that I probably haven't voted in national elections was because I was moving around from one state to another, and I didn't get into that state quick enough to be
get the
able
residence.
to get my residency.
Yeah.
And I felt guilty about not voting. So we got about 7 minutes left, 6 minutes left. So what would you like to take on, Mr. Steve?
Well, we got to do this quick because we don't have much time.
Okay.
The PGDC. Okay. The way I look at it is, they've been there 15 years. We don't have a garage. It was brought up at one of the selectmen's meeting that this big haboo about parking, not enough parking, and all the trouble they're going to have when the new town hall opened. According to the town manager, everything's working out fine. There's no problem with parking. So now they want to put this deck in. And to put this new parking deck in, they're going to have to take all the employees and move them someplace else for at least 6 months. That doesn't make any sense to me if there's no place, if they don't have any problems with parking. Whatever happened to the parking lot with the big transportation center with Gatra and Plymouth Brockton coming in and, all this kind of, whatever happened to that? And retail. They were going to have retail and they had the plans. They showed, what the place was going to look like. Nothing's happening. I mean, they have a consultant who they pay $60,000 a year, and we still don't have a garage. We're going to build one here. They have all these
Or any
plans.
additional parking.
Yeah, well, they've got some additional. They bought a couple.
Not enough, not
No.
significant.
But what happened? Why don't we just make up our minds and say, hey, we're going to build a garage here, not. Well, one here, we're going to build a deck up here, or we're going to do one down on Main Street, oh, there was one down here, and nothing. We've spent all this money on studies and reports and testing of the soil and everything else, and we got nothing to show, plus $60,000 for this guy, and we got nothing to show for it.
Well, and how many years have they been
It's
talking
been
about
about
parking?
15 years,
I mean, not just with the PGDC,
for years.
but even prior to that.
Yeah,
I mean, we're
it's
going
not
back. I talked to people that this has been a discussion for 30 frickin' years.
It's not like it's waking up and saying, oh my God, we don't have enough parking.
Yeah.
I mean, goddamn, we've known it for years. Yep. Come on.
And in 2 years, we have 2020.
2020, I don't even want to go into 2020.
Well, we won't. But I'm just saying, we need, we need that parking.
We're not going to have it.
And I'm for the one up on South Russell. Maybe we satellite park the employees till that's done. But I think that, when we have big events like the Thanksgiving Day parade, people have a chance to park someplace versus being locked out. We walk up over Russell and come down, down to Main Street for that. But anything's going to help. And again, I think I'm more partial to the downtown parking. Whether it's the Tedeschi's, because as part of the cultural district, our job really, whatever you want to call it, but is to ring registers. To ring registers to the retail, the restaurants, but also to be able to provide events and people can park for to come to, whether it's the Center for the Arts, whether it's the Spire, whatever the case may be. Yeah.
I understand. We do need the parking, but I think, the transportation center was the first one on the, and we should just settle on one. I don't understand why we have to have four potential parking garages. And we spent money, to get to potential. There is no potential. There's
What's the expression? Paralysis by analysis?
I guess, I don't know. But, and like I said, we have this expert. We're paying him $60,000 a year. And, hell, we ain't got no garage yet. So, and that's, 60 years times how many years he's been here. So, so that takes care of that because we got to be quick. The other one is I'm kind of pissed off, and I'm going to say it anyway because I found out that the South High School, before it was torn down, they had a big auction, and they sold just about everything they had inside, and it was a substantial amount of money they received. They had people coming from New York, to take some of the stuff, and I guess the kitchen stuff was the most popular. And all that money that they received, that taxpayers paid to buy this stuff in the beginning, never came back to the town. It stayed with the schools. And then we're paying to replace the same equipment with new stuff. So the taxpayers, not out of the school budget, and I that's crazy. That's got to stop. The school department is out of control. They spend so much money, and everyone has to cut back, and it seems like they just keep on going. And my God, it's time to go.
It's time to go. Again, if you have any comments or anything, please, you can always, it's too late to call in now, or you could. We got about, maybe 20 seconds to talk to you. But again, we want to thank you for coming to another Talk of the Town, the Three Amigos, or the Dos Amigos. And again, hopefully these topics are of interest to you. If you'd like us to talk about anything else, you can always call us at 508-830-3971 or text us at 508-982-7523. If you see Karen out on the street, say hi to her. And if you see Kenny, tell him he owes me some money. Make it a great day on purpose.
Good night, everyone.